you, Ron. We'll get to your questions now. I'll have a very quick question for each of our panelists, and then we'll start with the cards that are in. And Fran, and you may want to just do the Van Light thing. I'll let you just read them out loud if you want to. But let me start. Bernie, Bud, you mentioned Farmers Branch. I was going to try all night not to, but you did. And I'm just wondering, because what we heard from a lot of the city council is that the reason for the ordinances they came up with was that it was having a negative effect on the public schools, it was bringing property values down, and a high crime rate. And from what I understand, none of that's true.
No, it's not.
But make sure your microphones are on and just use, don't pass these around.
Yeah, we knew that. Get your statistics. Remember, research is what you want it to be. It's not the fact. That's what he said. Research is what you want it to be. Nothing to do with
In
reality.
fact, there was
There you have it.
There was a very good article in the Fort Worth paper a few days ago that looked at the crime rate in Farmers Branch, which has been falling. It looked at property values in Farmers Branch, which had been rising. And it looked at the performance of school children. What was most interesting is that the high school in the Carrollton Farmers Branch School District with the highest percentage of Hispanics scored the highest SAT scores, well above the national and state averages, and those scores have been rising. So it's just amazing when you follow this debate. The statements that are made by the proponents of the ordinance are just completely untrue.
Okay, and Gary, you talked about housing, and obviously that you're not necessarily protected if you're an illegal here. But many illegals who are renting housing have children who are legal. How do you deal with that?
Well, we could take the, say if a complaint was filed by a complainant, we don't judge whether or not the person's here legally or illegally. What we look at is are the persons being treated differently than, different because of their national origin.
Right.
Say here, Hispanic from Mexico or from Vietnam or something like that. That's what we look at, not the legality of why they're being treated this way, but whether or not they're being treated differently because of their national origin.
But I think also, not to cut you off, but I think also you should say that the Hispanics who make up a majority in many of these cases only file complaints 5% of the time. Why do you suppose that is?
We've bounced it around. Why? I think a lot of it has to do with maybe cultural issues. I'm not an expert in sociology. I'm not a sociologist, but from what I'm told, sometimes they come from cultures where complaining is not something they do. They basically go about and they're in the move or do something like that. It's not a process that they're familiar with in terms of filing complaints.
Do you think they're afraid?
I think so, especially if it's a situation where a person may not be here legally and may have somebody that's in the household. Certainly they're not going to come to a federal agency and file a complaint.
March in our streets, why not?
And I guess what I'm getting to, should you be doing something else? If there's a major problem out there and only 5% of the people who are having problems are complaining, should it be on you as opposed to them? That's what I'm asking.
Well, sometimes we'll address situations. We have a lot of, not a lot, but we have nonprofit groups that persons may go to, and they bring things into our attention. Legal services will bring things to our attention where they may file a complaint in behalf of their organization. There may be someone out there that will file a complaint. I mean, usually where there's smoke, there's going to be fire somewhere. It's a matter of there's someone that's going to be filing that complaint that's going to address that issue. And we also can, we discover a situation, we can file a complaint on our own behalf, where the secretary can basically initiate a complaint within an investigation.
And can I file a complaint on behalf of somebody else? If I know of a situation where somebody's being abused or misused, can I say, hey, we need to go investigate this situation?
You bring it to our attention. If you're their representative, you could.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Can I come and tell you, hey, this person is being mistreated. Go check it out.
I'd invite you or anybody else to do that. I mean, there's avenues. Legally, a person has to be what we call an aggrieved party, meaning a person that's a first-hand being affected by it. There's a way that an organization can file a complaint on behalf of their own organization. For their members, like NAACP can file complaints for their members. There's nonprofit groups out there whose purposes are to promote fair housing that file complaints. There's a number of ways that we can get complaints into the system.